Yo, what's up, guys? This is Technical Tim here, and I'm here to talk a little bit about. Sorry. I'm here to talk about UFC Saint Petersburg and just a few just general comments overall about the card. But I want to thank everyone so much who's been subscribing and liking all my videos. I'm almost at like 200 subscribers, so let's keep it going. And let's just get going ahead. I'm going to talk to you about UFC St. Petersburg like I talked about and give kind of two overall betting tips / observations for this card. And this may not be like super valuable information for some of the experienced bettors, but it could be a reminder to them. But some of the newer bettors or more casual bettors, I think it'll be pretty helpful for you. Then I'll also talk about two just fights that I'm not going to have any pre-fight action on, but they look like good live betting opportunities. I'm not saying I'm going to live bet them. I'm just saying if the opportunity presents itself, it's definitely two things I'm going to be having an eye on. So, but first, so this is a card in Russia, and just when you're doing your research, be very, I mean, I know most people know this already, but I just want to kind of emphasize the fact, and for some of you who may not realize the significance of this, I just want to point it out to you, is be very, anytime you're deciding to play a fighter who's not local, just be careful, because say if you think like a line might be off and you're playing a non-local fighter and you think that guy should be favored and it's about even money, there's probably not too much value there, because if it's a fight that's likely to go to the cards, you're gonna see you get bad decisions in international cards sometimes, wherever it's kind of like a showcase of some of the local fighters, and especially like, and just to kind of point that out, I'm going to talk about the last Russia card. It was actually I did well in this last Russia card. Jordan Johnson won me a lot of cash. I remember I played him inside the distance, but I got one fight wrong. I had a really good event last Russia. It was in September 15th, 2018. It was Hunt versus Olenek, and Olenek's actually headlining this one too. But just to refresh your memory, that was the first Russia card, and I think I hit every bet except one. I played Cajun Johnson as a huge underdog, and he got fucked against Rustam Khabilov. So it was still like a fine play, but pretty much everyone had Cajun winning that fight. But he lost via split decision because the judges went with the local guy. And I also want to just point out other fights on that card where it was like all the local fighters were kind of getting the benefit from the judges, and it's not because the judges are necessarily corrupt, it's because they get so influenced by the crowd. You could be winning 3.5 minutes of a fight if you're a non-local fighter, and if the local fighter just has some decent sized moments, the crowd can just cheer, and it can kind of confuse the judges a little bit. It happens all the time. So, and for live betting into this card, if you think it's a close round, like, just always remember it may have gone to the local fighter just because of that bias. I just wanted to point that out, and I want to emphasize the local bias judging factor in betting by going through last card just really briefly. Taisimov versus Green. Taisimov got all three judges' scorecards 30-27, and I thought Taisimov won, and he should have got the nod, but I do think like Green had some competitive rounds in there, and many media members had like Green at least getting one round. So that kind of just shows like Taisimov dominated on the judges' scorecards, even though it was a competitive fight. So just emphasizing that point. There are 7 total decisions, and I'm going through the ones that were like the other two, like Marab and Amiv, they kind of dominated their fights, and so like there wasn't anything the judges could like mess up or anything. I'm not saying they messed up the Taisimov Green fight. I'm just saying it's kind of like those are justifiable scorecards, 30-27 in that fight, but it was very surprising that all three judges gave it to him. And I'm just emphasizing the local fighter usually getting the benefit on the judges' scorecards. And this isn't me hating Russia, just so you know. This is just from a betting perspective, so people don't get mad at me. This goes for any card. It could be, you know, the hometown guy in Mississippi or in Oxford, Mississippi. I don't think they've ever had a fight there, but just in any American city too, this could happen. Okay, then another one was Jan and Son. I think they got that probably about right, so I'm not going to talk about that. But Konchenko Alves, a lot of people bet Alves, first of all, and I wasn't one of those people because I was like, usually Thiago, like if he had won, I thought it was going to be like a close kickboxing match, and it kind of ended up being that way. And I was like, he still probably won't get the nod on the cards. And I think I had scored it, like, I think I gave it 2-1 Alves. It was a while ago, but Konchenko got, like, he got all three cards, and he got a 30-27 on one, and a 30-27 was absolutely ridiculous. And yeah, the media members had it split, like half the media members had it for Alves, and then, yeah, so it was like 50-50 on like other people's cards, but then the judges all like gave it to Konchenko, like 30-27, 29-28 across the board. So that was another one. And then another one was Andrei Arlovsky versus, I'm going to butcher his name, but he's also on this card, Shamil Aburtamamimov. I messed that up big time, but they fought each other, and it was another one, like, Shamil got 30-27, 30-27, 29-28, so it just, and that was probably, like, I think Shamil probably won that too, but getting two 30-27s was a little bit surprising, so I just wanted to emphasize that fact to you guys. Just be careful in some of the bets you're making if you're taking, especially if you're taking, like, a non-local favorite, and the fight's likely to go to the cards. Just be careful. So I just wanted to point that out and get that out of the way. Sorry, I know that's like common sense for a lot of people, but actually showing you the last card going into this Russia card is a good reminder, I think, as well. And just when you're making your bets this week, because I know a lot of people are locking in bets now. Another thing that I wanted to talk about is this card has a lot of inexperienced fighters too, and always be careful when it's kind of like a guy I talk fights with called it a YouTube capping card, and it kind of is. Like, there's a lot of like fighters where they're making their UFC debut, and some of them are even fighting, I think, other debutants. Could be wrong. No, there's a couple that are. But there's a lot of like people making their UFC debut, and just be careful. It's tough to sometimes gauge skills of people when they're going against lower level competition. So having layoffs on this card is not a bad thing. I'm not going to have a ton of action in this card. I do have some plays. I have two plays I really, really like. But I'm not going to, I don't want to lose. I don't want to just start trying to chase money on this card and suffer like a 9-unit loss over it. But I will be risking a few units, but nothing like crazy, because the next card, Jacare versus Hermanson, looks really good for betting, so I'll be having a lot of preview videos for that one. But then two fights I wanted to bring up on this card that I think are really good from a live betting perspective, and people who've done tape already have probably caught this already, is actually three. I'll bring up three. Is sorry, hold on. I'm trying to find. Okay, sorry. Devin Clark versus Ivan. What's his last name? Stierkoff. I'll just call him Ivan. So Devin Clark, just in case you're not familiar with him, he's very, very, yeah, I mean, he's a UFC veteran. He's very, like, wrestling based, and he kind of tries to push a pace. He doesn't have a deep skill set, but he has some, like, pretty quick hands, and he doesn't have the best top control either. But I do think he can push a decent pace, and I think that's the reason why this is a good live betting fight. And he's going to be going against Ivan. And Ivan is, I watched a lot of his fights, and he's pretty much just like a huge, stocky wrestler. And he's kind of just throws some hands too, but he's not that great of a striker, but he's powerful. And he gasses really hard. He gasses super hard, so just keep that in mind from a live betting perspective. If even if Devin wins round one, like clearly, but also remember when you're live betting, take into account that this is in Russia and Devin's a local and Devin's not the local fighter Ivan is here. But just be on the lookout if he wins the first round, or if it's like clearly tied after two. I'm talking about if there's two clear rounds. Like if it's close after round two and you can't really tell like who won each round, maybe just stay away. But Devin clearly has the better gas tank here. So people are betting him pre-fight, but I think there's going to be a takedown storm early for Ivan, especially in the first round. I think Ivan's more likely to win the first round than Devin, so that's kind of why I want to stay away pre-fight and probably come in later in the fight if the opportunity presents itself. Don't just live bet for no reason. But if it's like tied after round two, Devin is probably a good play if the odds are good. So I just wanted to point that out because there's a big gas tank discrepancy here if it gets that far. But I kind of just talking about this matchup overall because there's a lot of wrestling involved. I think Devin can have some success striking later in the fight. I don't know if he'll be able to hold Ivan down all that much. Ivan did a really good job against Dos Santos a few fights ago. But what he does is he'll push you down, but like if you kind of are in his guard, he'll kind of push you down and like push on your shoulders. So then you're now like holding on to the bottom of his legs, kind of by his knee. So then whenever you're holding his like the lower part of his legs, he'll use his post hands to then stand up, and you can't take his post hands away because your arms are so far down on the legs already. So he does it like simultaneously. He does a pretty good job of getting up, and he can even like functionally wrestle pretty decently whenever he's tired as well. So I just wanted to point that out. But I think, but Ivan's a pretty good. He has some pretty good like last double legs himself early in the fight. And I could see, I think he'll probably win round one. Not for sure. Like he might just have been fighting really bad competition, and Clark just fucks him up early. But I have a feeling he's going to win round one, and that's why I want to live bet and not like do pre-action on Devin Clark as a plus 155 guy whenever he is the non-local fighter. So I'm not playing it pre-fight, but I just wanted to point that out. And I want to point out is I think Ivan can get him down early as well, because Clark, we haven't seen much of his defensive wrestling except against Jan Blachowicz. And Jan kind of like, I know Jan is skilled and has like a really good ground game, but like a double leg's a double leg, and the double leg he landed on Clark he got it pretty easily. So I have a feeling like the power of Ivan and his blast doubles will probably get him some takedowns early, which will probably be enough to win the early rounds. So I just wanted to point that out. But be on the lookout for him gassing later, and there could be a live betting opportunity for Clark. I don't think I'm going to have anything pre-fight on that fight, unless if we have some drastic line changes. But just wanted to point that out. So I think that's live bet city, because I do think Clark is probably going to lose that first round. And then another fight that I think is good for live betting, obviously, and this one's super obvious because a lot of you guys know these two people well, is Antigulov and Macau. I might be mispronouncing that, but I'll call him Macau. And this is a guy who just beat John Vellante and Roundtree. But Antigulov is just a storm in round one, and if he wins round one, bet the house on Macau in round two, because he clearly has the durability and the cardio advantage, Macau, over Antigulov. So I just want to let you know that I'm still kind of analyzing this fight from a pre-fight perspective, and I might be playing some props, but I don't really know for sure. I don't have any action on this fight yet. But just from a live betting perspective, if Antigulov doesn't get him out of there and get his submission game going in round 1, he's probably going to get finished in round 2 or 3. So if you could get Macau as like even money or as a dog or just even like -150 after round 1, knowing that he had survived that and being able to play him better than his pre-fight odds is worth some cash. So just be ready for that from a live betting perspective as well. And do I have another one? I think that was kind of it. Just those 2 fights, just because it's always valuable information to know a certain fighter gasses for live betting perspective, because sometimes the books just they set the line based on what happened in like the first round. They don't always look forward ahead and then factor in cardio as much, so you can take advantage of live lines there. But no, I think that's all I'm going to talk about for now. So just the 4 main things I talked about is just remember, there is local country bias, and I'm not talking shit on Russia. I'm not talking shit on any country. I'm just saying in any country, the local fighters are probably going to get the nod for the most part, especially when it's like their first or second visit there. So the crowd's going to be pumped up in Russia. And then 2, be careful capping YouTube. Like a lot of like inexperienced fighters, sometimes it's hard to gauge exactly how they are. Examples of this is Lipsky looked really good, and then she got dominated by Calderwood, and then recently we had Costa come in, and he looked good against Davis, but it showed there's like levels to this. You need composure to fight 15 minutes against experienced UFC fighters. And so they might look good on tape, but how do they really look against UFC competition? And then number 3, I talked about Devin Clark. Could be a good live bet, but be careful and always remember Ivan does have the judges likely on his side because they're going to be influenced by the crowd, not because they're bad people. And number 4, Macau, this is like a clear live betting opportunity. If he loses round 1 and it gets to the second round and he is somewhat near even money, play him. just play him. But yeah, and so that's it. I have just a couple plays right now, but I'm not loving this card from a betting perspective, but I do have a few plays. And remember, don't go chasing money on cards like this when it's really hard to actually gauge some of these people's skill set, because that's how you just lose money. Keep the money and be able to put it on the next card later, Jacare versus Hermanson. Those type of cards that are a lot easier to cap, and it's easy. And when they're easier to cap, it's easier to find value because you can actually figure out what the implied percentages should be and compare them to what the bookmaker made them. So just wanted to point that out, and I'd really appreciate it if you guys gave the video a thumbs up. And yeah, I'll send out previews for this card and free picks if I just kind of like end up playing more. But I'll also I'm gonna get an early start on the Jacare versus Hermanson card as well, and a lot of these are fights that have already been made before and are like getting booked again, like Escobar and Penne, and what was the other one? Sandhagen Lineker. So I already like know those fights, so being able to tape through that card is not going to be as bad. And I know a lot of these fighters as well. Like, I know Jacare and Hermanson. I've been taping them a lot lately. So I'll be able to pump out previews for those very quickly. And because so many people have been subscribing, I'm going to give away a lot of free picks for that card. I was going to kind of do it for this card, but because I'm not going to be playing as much, I'd rather save it for like a better card where I have more action. But I'll still probably have a little bit of action in this card, and I already have 2 picks. So thank you so much. Please like, please subscribe. Sorry this video has dragged on a little bit, but I really enjoyed talking to y'all. Thank you. Bye.